Topic 3, effectiveness of police in reducing crime and the role of crime analysis. The prevailing wisdom is that the police have very little to do with crime going up or down. This is the dominant view in American criminology and has been for some time. But things are beginning to change. In the last 30 years, American policing has seen significant changes in both thinking and practice. Technological advances, new perspectives, and evaluations of current practices have brought about these changes. In this chapter, we are going to look at some of the key elements and research results for the most notable police strategies. First, let's look at the standard model of policing. The central element in the standard model of policing is enforcing the law in a broad and reactive way, primarily using police resources. Specific strategies include increasing the number of police officers, unfocused random motorized patrol, rapid response to calls for service, follow-up investigations by detectives, and general reactive arrest policies. Research results: although there have been a limited number of evaluations of these strategies, research shows that each one of these generally applied enforcement efforts have been of limited effectiveness. One of the first moves away from standard policing in the 1970s was community policing. The key elements of community policing include the fact that the police must work with the community and draw from other resources outside police to prevent and solve crime problems. It has been one of the most widely adopted police strategies in the last several decades. It may be more of a philosophy of policing than a specific strategy. Several specific strategies have been primarily used to represent community policing in evaluations, including neighborhood watch, strategies that increase flow of information from the community to the police, and strategies in which the police provide crime information to the public. Because community policing is difficult to define, it has also been difficult to evaluate. Neighborhood watch, community meetings, storefront offices, and newsletters do not reduce crime, although for many police departments, that's what they do and call it community policing department. Door-to-door visits by police have been found to reduce crime, but simply providing information about crime to the public has not shown to prevent crime. Overall, community policing, as measured by these specific strategies, does not seem to increase police effectiveness on preventing crime. Broken windows policing, also called zero-tolerance policing, was developed as a practical theory in the 1980s. Strict enforcement of disorderly behavior and minor offenses, considered quality of life offenses, prevents more serious crimes from happening. Broken windows is a metaphor in which a broken window that is left unfixed indicates that no one cares and invites more broken windows and more serious behavior. Research results: mixed. A summary of studies in 7 cities found no evidence that strict enforcement of disorder reduced additional disorder or more serious crimes. More recent studies found a direct link between misdemeanor arrests and more serious crime. The data limitations raised questions about the validity of the study's conclusions. As we saw in the last chapter, a disproportionate number of crimes happen in particular areas in a city. Police systematically identify areas within a city that have disproportionate amounts of crime and employ police responses to those specific areas. This is known as hotspots policing. The responses implemented in the hotspots are more traditional, such as increased police presence and arrests. Research results: a significant amount of rigorously applied research on hotspot policing has occurred. It appears that hotspots policing contributes to meaningful reductions in both crime and disorder. Police crackdowns, which are a more temporary application of hotspots policing, have also shown to work, although primarily on a short-term basis. CompStat refers to a specific program implemented by the New York City Police Department in 1994 in an attempt to synthesize an accountability structure and strategic problem solving. Its rapid and widespread adoption by police agencies around the U.S. has moved it beyond an isolated strategy used by the NYPD. Analysis of up-to-date computerized crime, arrest, and quality of life data is used to produce statistics and maps. This information is used in regularized interactive crime prevention and reduction strategy meetings in which managers are held accountable for the crime prevention approaches they implement in their districts. Research results for CompStat. There has been no formal evaluation of New York City Police Department's CompStat or of the national implementation of CompStat. However, the first 3 years of NYPD's CompStat coincided with dramatic declines in crime rate, and this decline has been seen in other large cities as well. NYPD's success resulted in other police agencies adopting the strategy and adapting it to their own agencies. A national assessment of the adoption and elements of CompStat concludes that although the strategy appears to be new in its use of technology in crime analysis, the police management and response strategies remain consistent with traditional policing. Problem-oriented policing, or POP, was first introduced by Herman Goldstein in 1979. POP is the idea that police take a proactive role in identifying, understanding, and responding to problems, not just incidents, in their communities. If police were to take a more problem-oriented focus, they could be more effective in impacting crime and disorder problems. To be problem-oriented, the police must take a new, more systematic approach that demands that they collect new data, develop new methods of analysis, identify innovative solutions, and apply measures for assessing the success of their efforts. The SARA model includes scanning and defining specific problems, analyzing data to understand the opportunities that create the problem, responding to the problem using both police and non-police methods, and assessing whether the response has worked. POP is rooted in the theories of environmental criminology and situational crime prevention, covered in the last chapter. The analysis and strategies of POP are focused on identifying and reducing the opportunities for crime and disorder problems in specific situations. Research results for POP. These are typically combined efforts by researchers and practitioners. Although more rigorous research needs to be conducted on POP efforts, the evidence so far shows that it is the most promising of police strategies. Even those who criticize that POP has not been implemented as Goldstein originally intended, in terms of the depth of the problem identified and analyzed, conclude that even addressing problems somewhat superficially, using the problem-solving process, is enough to impact crime and disorder levels. Conclusions about police effectiveness. The more focused and specific strategies of the police, and the more they are tailored to the problems they seek to address, the more effective the police will be in controlling crime and disorder. Let's now turn our attention to the role of crime analysis in each of the models of policing we just discussed. Under the standard model of policing, there's really little use for crime analysis, other than determining the level of staffing in particular areas and providing statistics of police performance. Things begin to change with community policing, however. Crime analysts provide statistical information to community groups as well as to the police. Crime analysis also assists by collecting and analyzing information from the public. When community policing also includes problem solving, crime analysis plays a key role. Under broken windows policing, crime analysis has a limited role. When broken windows is focused in particular areas and particular times, crime analysis is key in determining the areas and times where enforcement of disorder activity would be best applied. In hotspots policing, crime analysis plays a vital role. It helps determine the hotspots in the first place. Crime analysis is integral to CompStat. Regular analysis produced by crime analysts is used to hold managers accountable. Crime mapping is central in CompStat meetings. Problem-oriented policing, probably the most integral role that the crime analyst has, is found under problem-oriented policing. Crime analysis is necessary for identifying and specifying the problem, analyzing data to understand why the problem is occurring, helping to develop when and where responses would be best implemented, and helping to assess the impact of the response on the problem. POP cannot happen without crime analysis. To summarize, crime analysis plays a role in each policing strategy, some a much greater role than in others. The importance of crime analysis in policing cannot be overstated. The incorporation of crime analysts into police agencies is relatively recent. The discipline is still struggling with being recognized and used in effective ways. Let's now turn our attention to levels of activity. Units of crime analysis center on the idea of the problem in contrast to the individual incident. It is important to distinguish different types for different types of analysis. Immediate problems are incidents that occur and are resolved within minutes, hours, or in some cases, days. They are responded to by patrol officers and detectives who utilize the investigative skills learned in basic police training and more intensive investigative training. Incidents are individual events that an officer typically responds to or discovers while on patrol. They are citizen and officer-generated calls for service and include crime, disorder, or service-related tasks such as disturbances, robbery in progress, traffic accidents, subject stops, and traffic citations. Incidents usually occur and are resolved within minutes and/or hours. The goal is to resolve each incident as quickly and effectively as possible. Serious incidents are individual events that arise from calls for service. They are deemed more serious by laws and policies of the police department. Serious incidents require additional investigation and/or a more extensive immediate response. Examples include rapes, hostage negotiations, homicides, traffic fatalities, or armed robberies. They occur within minutes and/or hours but may take days, weeks, or in some cases months to resolve. Typically, detectives or specially trained personnel conduct more comprehensive analysis and respond. Short-term problems include repeat incidents, which are two or more incidents that are similar in nature. Repeat incidents have happened at the same place, typically, or by the same person. They are usually common non-criminal incidents or interpersonal incidents. They happen within hours, days, and in some cases weeks. Analysis and problem solving includes a focus on identifying addresses with multiple calls for service and resolving the immediate underlying issue. Patterns are a group of two or more crimes reported to or discovered by police that is treated as one unit of analysis because they share one or more key commonalities which make them notable and distinct. There is no known relationship between victim and offender in a pattern. Criminal activity is typically of limited duration. It occurs over days, weeks, or months. Patterns of these crimes are vitally important to police, citizens, businesses, the media, and all members of a community because they are perceived as the most immediate threat to personal safety. There is a difference between patterns and repeat incidents. The type of data that's analyzed. Repeat incidents consist of common quality of life or service calls, while patterns consist of reported serious crime. Short-term problems also include repeat offenders, repeat targets and victims known as hot products, repeat places or hot spots known as risky facilities, and also repeat times, as crimes may also be concentrated temporally. One of the areas in which researchers can assist crime analysts is with long-term problems. A long-term problem is a set of related activity that occurs over several months, seasons, or years that stems from systematic opportunities created by everyday behavior and environment. Problems can consist of common disorder activity as well as serious criminal activity. Problems contain numerous patterns and/or repeat incidents. By identifying lower level events and the incident level responses, more can be learned about the problem. Types of long-term problems. One is problem location, also called a risky place. It could be an individual address or a type of place at which there is a concentration of crime or problematic activity. Various victims and offenders are involved in the activity. Analysis includes identifying all the activity, understanding how opportunities are created and acted upon, and how that location or type of place compares to similar non-problematic places. More types of long-term problems include problem offenders, also called repeat offenders or frequent flyers. These are individual people who commit a disproportionate amount of crime or groups of offenders that share characteristics. One person or a group of people move through different settings and take advantages of different victims. Analysis and responses include understanding and addressing offenders and their behavior specifically. Another type of long-term problem is with problem victims or repeat victims. These are individual people or groups of victims who share characteristics. One person or a group of people move through different settings and are victimized by different offenders. Analysis and response determines why these individuals are victimized and what about their behavior makes them vulnerable. Problem property or hot products, not one individual piece of property that is repeatedly stolen, but it's a type of product that shares characteristics that make them attractive and vulnerable in various situations to various types of offenders. Analysis and response examines the crime settings around the property and the opportunities that exist. A compound problem is the most broad type. This is the least frequent of all types of problems. It encompasses various locations, offenders, and victims, and in most cases exists throughout an entire jurisdiction. Analysis requires the most comprehensive analysis and response.